Push P. Yeah, push P. Turn me up. Turn me up, P. Corners in the paddock, get my piece. Push P. Cop new hammers for my P. We don't want no. Hello to my beautiful kings and queens of the KreKre crew. This is KreKre, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. And as always, I truly, truly do appreciate you. And welcome to episode 5 of the Raspberry Letter series. Now, if you're not familiar with the Raspberry Letter series, it's just me taking some post clippings from either Reddit or Quora and reading them online for you guys and just kind of giving my thoughts and my little 11 cents on it, in a sense. And today will be no exception. And so from this next posting that we got, it's coming from Quora. Again, I'm getting a lot of them from Quora, seems like. And it's going to be pretty short and sweet. And so we should get through this one fairly quickly. So here we go. Okay, so this post is from Quora. It reads as follows. I am starting to face my husband's affair. I have cried, uncontrollably for 5 days straight. He is not comfortable with my meltdowns, so he leaves. Is there not a way he can help me? Okay, well, man, what you want him to do? What you want him to do, baby? I mean, I understand, once you found out that you have been betrayed in such a manner, yes, you are going to be highly emotional. Your emotions is gonna be uncontrollable. You're gonna be unhinged. Yes, you're gonna be crashing out. But in that moment, in that scenario, what exactly is your husband supposed to do? It's not really much. What you gonna do? You think he's gonna just console you and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, and I'll never do it again," and then you're going to be even pissed off even more because in the back of your mind, you know he's not really sorry and he's probably going to do it again. So again, what is it that you expect him to do? And once again, in these letters, you all are leaving a lot out. You're telling parts of the story, but you're not telling the whole story. You know, what happened? How did the affair start? Why did the affair start? So you're not giving us any of the back information to lead us up to this point for anybody to really give a concise answer for you. If you're having all of these meltdowns and you're crying uncontrollably and you're crashing out to the point of no point of consolation, how do you all expect to even have that conversation? How do you even expect to get there? I mean, at this point, you really can't look to him to help you. At this point, you really need to help yourself. You need to be asking yourself, what are you going to do in this situation? You know, or are you going to stay and work it out with him and try to get through it and weather the storm, or are you going to leave? I'm just going to tell you now, though, if you try to stay and you try to work it out, you try to weather the storm and you try to get through this together, it's not going to work in the way that you hope, because now that affair is going to be parked in the back of your mind pretty much for the rest of your relationship. It's going to constantly be popping up in your head. You're going to constantly be thinking about it. You're going to be mad at him. You're going to be resentful of him. You're going to start arguments with him. You're going to be doing the most. And again, I'm not blaming you for anything, because your emotions that you have, you are well within your right of that. But I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And then that's going to lead to more arguments, more fighting, and it's going to be even worse then than it is now. So you need to ask yourself at this point, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
What are you willing to do? Because at this point, he can't help you. He done already helped himself. He done already helped himself to another platter, to another sample. And you gonna have to either you have to ask yourself if you are willing to have him to keep sampling, or are you gonna go on about your business? I mean, that's really the only thing you can do at this point. People try to get through affairs all the time. They think, oh well, it's not gonna bother me. It just happened once. It'll never happen again. Blase, blase. But a lot of times it does. It does. It keeps going, and and they're not gonna stop. They're just not gonna stop. If they wanted to stop, they will. They will stop when they are ready to stop, not when you are ready for them to stop. That's just gonna make them do it even more. And even in some rare cases, when they do stop, and it probably was maybe a one and done type of thing, and it doesn't happen again, that's not gonna fix the situation. That's not gonna help, because once again, it's engraved in your mind, and so now you're constantly going to be checking on every little thing that they do. Now you're going to be monitored. Now you don't trust them, and then in turn they're not going to be able to trust you. You're going to be constantly checking phones. You're going to be checking locations. You're going to be calling such and such and such and such to see, has he been over there? Has he been? Now you have now become the insecure person that you probably weren't before all of this happened, and it's going to turn you into somebody that you don't like. Is it worth it? You just have to ask yourself, is all of that worth it? It's changing who you are because of an event like this happening. Is it worth it? I'm not always the one to say, oh, we'll just get a divorce, get a divorce. Hey, maybe I just need to try counseling. If y'all ain't tried counseling, maybe that's what y'all need to do. Honestly, I'm one of those people that think that, doing counseling in the beginning, that before you even get married, that's probably the best route to go. No, I will say, try other angles before we get to the throwing in the towel part. If both of you are willing to do that, then yeah, absolutely do that. Try counseling, try, reading together, try therapy. And after you tried everything, and if it's still not gonna work, if it's still not working, if you still have the resentment and the anger towards him for doing what he did, then at that point cut it off. Because at that point, you all are both miserable. And the more miserable you are, the more miserable he will be, which means that he will then go back to doing what you don't want him to do, which is committing infidelity. So try counseling, try working it out, see what happens, and if all else fails, then hey, just sayonara. All right, well, that's my 11 cents on it. That's my take on it. KreKre, what do you say about that? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that there's a chance? Do you think that there are other things that individual should do to try to salvage whatever is broken in their marriage? Or do you think that they should just go on and let it burn and move on with your life and find someone that's better suited for them? Let me know down in the comments. Okay. If you have made it this far, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys in the next video. My name is KreKre, and y'all be easy.